In this video, we are going to change the starter motor on this 2007 Toyota Avalon. Yes, the starter motor is going to be replaced, even though I highly suspect it's the solenoid. And I'm not going to buy just a solenoid and replace that, because it's just as easy to replace the whole starter, because the starter is 15 years old and I don't want to deal with any issues should the motor itself start to give me problems. Now, this is a very unusual case because this 2007 Volvo has an incredible 35,000 miles. Its first 10 years of life, it put on 11,000 miles, and its past 5 years of life, it put on 24,000 miles, you know, when basically my wife and I took it over from my father-in-law. So we transferred the title to my father-in-law as the primary and my wife as a secondary. So we are keeping it over here at our house while he is in assisted living. And when we take him to the doctor or whatever, he likes to ride in his vehicle. So, you know, I maintain it. No big deal. I got it in the other day and it wouldn't start. Push the button, push the button, push the button. There's, you know, it's keyless. Or I should say, you know, you don't put a key in a switch and turn it. And I thought, oh crap. Well, I knew it wasn't the battery because I just changed the battery. And of course I tested the battery because I have bought a battery and turned it in under warranty to get another one. You know, there are problems, you know, you do have issues. You can buy a defective product. So before you automatically diagnose the problem as a starter issue, you want to test the battery. So you make sure it's in the OK area, which is about 14 volts. Typically 14.5 is what I see. Well, that tells you the alternator's good. And when the engine's not running and you do a load test, it should also be in the green to let you know it's good. You can also test it with a multimeter. You don't need a fancy one like this. Get one of those cheapy ones if you want. But definitely test the battery and the charging system, because there is quite a few components between the battery and the starter. One thing that went wrong with this car, and I have a spare in case it happens again, is the stoplight switch. If the car doesn't think the brake pedal is pressed down and the brakes are on, it won't start. So, and I did dig up my father-in-law's paperwork. And let's see, I think I put it right in front here for the video. So back in 2011, he bought it in 2007, and in 2011, he was saying he had to pump the brakes to get the light come on, and the push start button would not turn green, and it turned out to be the switch. And wow, back in 2011 it's 7725. I think it's a little bit less now. Is it the same number? 84340. No, it's a different number, but it's definitely the same switch. You know how parts numbers change. My gosh, if you look at Volvo, it's incredible. But anyway, so this is the new number. However, you got to look it up for your vehicle. I don't know how many starters I've put in. I do know this is my third Toyota starter. So I did a Corolla, and who else did I do? It's either a Highlander or a RAV4. I would suspect it was a Highlander. I don't I'm not really around anyone that has a RAV4. I know I did it for someone, but it was not a RAV4. So anyway, it was similar to this one. This is going to be on the 3.5 liter V6, the 2GR-FE. It's going to be very easy once we gain access. Like all car jobs, it seems like the part that breaks is buried and you have to remove a whole bunch of stuff to get to it. And the Avalon and your high-end vehicles have quite a few more items. For example, if you just had a Camry, you would take the intake off, but this is an Avalon, so you need to take the top shield off, the top cover off, and then you can take the air intake off. So there you go. And it is right there. Can you see it? Can you see it? All right, right underneath that clear plastic right there, that's the starter solenoid. So, and I suspect that's what's wrong. I just had it go wrong on my lawnmower, so that's why it went wrong on the car. Ha ha. But what happens is the contactor that connects the power from the battery to the electric motor, there's a bar that goes in there to touch the two posts together. And because this car had low mileage for its first 10 years and it is short distances all the time around here, even though we've put 24,000 miles on it in 5 years, that contact, that on off, there's an arc when it separates, and that arc creates a pit, and that removes the contact area. It also blackens it up. That arc may leave some resin in there, some carbon buildup, and so eventually over time it just doesn't make a good contact, because that is a heavy draw on that motor. So no electricity is getting to the motor, and that's why you push the button and silence. We're going to disconnect the battery. We are also going to remove the battery, and that'll help us have access to the starter, which is right over there. So the cover, the intake, the battery, I don't know how much of this needs to come off. You need to be very careful. These hoses right here, you do not want to break these connectors here, because these parts turn out to be very expensive. So you don't want to do a screw up like that or have to make a repair. It would just be a very, very, very bad day. 99.9% of the time I use Toyota parts, but I'm not going to do it here, and let me tell you why. I don't know how long we're going to keep the car. When my father-in-law no longer needs it for whatever reason, it's already 15 years old. Cars don't last past 20, even if they have just 35,000 miles on them. So I do not want to spend a whole lot of money, and believe it or not, in the big scheme of things, a Toyota starter really isn't all that much more than the cheapy new, not rebuilt, new aftermarket ones. This is a new one, not a rebuild. However, let's look at the money. So I went to the Toyota Parts Center, and the starter, they wanted $180 for it. Tax is $10, and then there's shipping and handling. I did not check the local dealer, but the last couple times I checked the local dealer, they wanted full retail, which was $225. So then there is tax, $238. And then there's a core charge, so it was, right at $300, pretty much like this one, right at $300. Okay, but what happens with the core charge is you have to pay the return postage. You know, it's not free. So out of that $60 they're sending you, you got to take some of that money and say, hey, I had to spend that to give you the core back. So when you go through all the rigmarole and note that the postage, return postage, is more than the shipping and handling, because you're just a regular Joe and you don't have a deal with the post office or FedEx or whoever the heck is sending it to get a discount. You know, you got to pay the full price. So for a Toyota starter, I would have to give them $300. Then the actual core refund that I will get back, because I had to pay the return postage, I'm paying $264. Or I could go to Amazing's website and buy it for $71.50. So it's $68 plus tax where I live. And I can get one of these starters, condition new, it's not a rebuild, and off we go. And it should last the 5 years or however long I need it to last. 10, 15 years. I kind of doubt that. Let's take a look at it. So, not much to it. Just a starter motor. I noticed that the solenoid was manufactured a little bit differently. You know, super easy to replace if I just wanted to purchase a solenoid from Toyota. But it was 150 bucks. You know, so same thing. You know, why not get the whole motor? Get a new motor. Jeez, for 180. You know, motor and solenoid. Crazy. So anyway, I don't get it. So here it is. All nice and new, not rebuilt, not scratched up. So it's just really two electrical connections, one typical nut and bolt design where you just take the bolt off and remove the main power cable coming in, and then the electronic connection, you know, where you push the button and everything that it checks says it's okay, and it allows power to push the metal bar up and connect this power line in to the motor, and boom, off you go, spinning. It only goes in one direction too, by the way. So that, as they say, is that. 2 bolts hold it in, super easy. So plug, nut, bolt, bolt. Super easy. Except getting access to it, you got to take off a lot of crap. So let's go take off a lot of crap to get access to it. All right, in order to take the cover off, I need to pop all of these little rivets in here. They're like plastic rivets. They have like a Christmas tree underneath them there. And of course, you should always have extra ones because you're going to bend them and break them and everything else. So you get your little plastic or metal tool here, whatever's easier and convenient. You pop these guys right off. And do that about 10 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, how about 8? Okay, you are going to break them or destroy them or mess them up somehow. I mean, even if you don't have a cover, if it's just like a Camry or something, you're still going to have to pop off a couple of them. So be sure and have a little collection of them to replace. You need to be careful on Amazon when you buy them, because typically they don't come in the size you need. So know what you need ahead of time. Don't just willy-nilly buy the cheapest or the mass quantity on Amazon. Get 1,000 of them in, can't use any of them. Alright, step 1. Had to slide it out and then over the latch. Now we have this guy that also accesses the battery. It's another reason I had to take off the cover. If you have a Camry, you probably don't need this removed because there's nothing there. Lexus, you'll definitely need to remove the cover. So we'll take these 3 screws out, take the battery out, and the intake snorkel out. Okay, they are different lengths. Keep track of everything. Alright, don't lose your nuts. Don't drop anything. Alright, everything's always a tight fit, so just be careful. Notice I take the straps off. It's just easier that way. Check the bottom cover. I like to keep these clean. Notice that it is in fact clean, a little bit warped, but who cares? It also holds in the bracket, so this back bracket doesn't come out. You have to take the screw all the way off. This kind of locks it in place, keeps it from falling. Alright, I can see it more better. There's the tag on the motor. So that's our area of interest. So let's just take off some more stuff to get better access to it. Now I've worked on these cars for a while. It's pretty intuitive to me. I also have knowledge of what is what. So my point is, be sure to make note of everything. Oh, it looks like it's torn. Oh, how about that? Yeah, can you see that? It's split. I know that I have not ever disconnected it. I usually unplug the other end of the line because it's, you know, air cleaner. That's the only thing I've done. So I have to make sure that is repaired. You know, it's all the little things like that that really stop you from doing things correctly. You get in a hurry and you mess things up. For example, you know, the book will say, you know, remove the nozzle or funnel or whatever they're going to call it, but you know, you got to disconnect all this. You find broken hoses. Now I got to make a repair. So, you know, it just goes on and on and on. All right, that's out. Probably clean it up. I'll probably put all new foam on here because I'm anal like that. All right, the airbox was fun. You basically have to unhook the 2 back hinges. You know, it gives you the impression that it's going to hinge up, but really what you need to do is slide it, pull it forward to give the box clearance, and then you can unhook it to remove it. Disconnected the mass airflow sensor, and now I'm going to take the box out. All right, so far I've only needed a 10 millimeter. I mean, I used a Phillips screwdriver because some of these 10s had a Phillips cut in the middle of them. Alright, I'm just going to fold it out of the way because I don't want to deal with the mass airflow sensor electrical connection routing that's on the back of here. I'll take out the funnel. You got to remove it from the silencer. See, there's a silencer right there. It hooks into, so when you put it back together, you need to make sure everything's connected. Alright, super easy. Just disconnect the main power lead, the electrical connection, and then the 2 bolts. Alright, our electrical is a 12. So everything else I used to get here was a 10. Now I needed a 12. Alright, the other electrical connection was real easy. Just push the button and pull. And now we should have access to our 2 bolts that hold the starter in place. We'll yank that thing out of there. Alright, our 2 bolts are going to need a 14mm and a 6-inch extension. Alright, I'm going to break it loose with a breaker bar, and then I'll use electric to take it out the rest of the way. Yeah, I definitely need the breaker bar to get it started. Alright, the starter bolts are identical, no need for left, right, in, out. Alright, should be free. See if we can get it out of here. Yeah, it's not too bad. There she blows. See how the bolt and the line to the starter, it's all corroded. You know, I'm sure inside the solenoid it's the same thing. Alright, I like to use OEM hardware when I can. So I'll replace this nut and lock washer, if I can get it off of there, with the OEM flange nut, so I don't have to use a lock washer on there. Now, I am going to just do what factory did and put it back together. I'm not going to grease it all up or anything. That is weather sealed, and there was no corrosion on the original, so it's just reassembly. Not going to worry about the nut. It'll be fine for the life that we will have the vehicle. So that, as they say, is that. Let's get it in place. I don't see any debris I really want to get out of there, vacuum up or anything. Don't see any evidence of Mises. So we'll just put it back in. There we go. So not bad at all. Just had to get over this electrical connection here. That's a runway. So just had to get over that. We'll put the bolts back in, button it back up, put everything back together, repair any cracked hoses like I saw, and keep on going. Alright, let's see. I can get this guy going here. Alright, torque it down to factory specs. Alright, just clip that guy in place. Connect the power line. Tighten that down. Put the protective shield over it. Alright, reassembly. Now I'm going to do things that are completely unnecessary. I'm kind of anal. So this is just an air box. You know, it's a silencer. So when you floor the car, it actually draws air up from here. It's like a reserve. It doesn't have to suck it completely from the front. But I don't know whether you can see in there or not. It's a bunch of debris. And it's just, you know, got some dust and dirt and grime on it from the whopping 35,000 miles it's been driven. So I'm going to clean this up. Well, I do have a bunch of different material I can use to, you know, seal that up a little bit, replace it. So I'll be working on things like that here and there. Well, that was fun. This hose assembly came undone, and I didn't want to take everything apart, but they hook onto this component here where this electrical connector is going, and it's hiding the two posts that these hoses connect to. So I guess I popped those off accidentally, and luckily I saw it and put them back on, so that was fun. Alright, if you use electric screwdriver, remember, set it very low when you're screwing into plastic. You don't want to strip that out. Oops. Okay, there's my repair. I just used heat shrink tubing. I didn't want to run a line the whole way to replace that. So that is that. See if there's any more. That looks suspicious. I think I might do something there too. I don't see anywhere else. Alright, there's that repair. So it looked like it wasn't 100% penetration, but on the inside there would look like there was a slight cut or missing material, so I just wrapped it on the outside. Alright, the air filter is 10,000 miles and 3 years old. I have one, so I'm going to go ahead and change it since everything's open. You can see even just 10,000 miles, plenty of dirt and debris. So, I mean, even though it's completely acceptable, since I have a new one and it's all apart, might as well put it in, right? And I always write on my filters, so we'll put in February 2024. Alright. Alright, putting the cover on is always really fun. You have to hook the two hinges in the back and then close it. But in order to do that, you need to have the filter in the upper unit, so it's a lot of fun keeping all that together. So I'm going to get in front of the camera, so I'm not going to show it. I don't know if you can see it, but there's little caresses in there, especially on this side. You could probably see it. They need to sit in the slots correctly. Alright, we are all together except for the cover here, the front cover. So before I put that in, I think I'll do a check on the new part, see if the car starts up. Alright, it started up when I pressed the button, so kind of hesitated on the first go around, but usually doesn't do that, but hey, what the heck. So I'm satisfied that it's working. I mean, boom. Alright, let me get this cover back on. It's not too tricky, you just need to slide the latch in there and then tuck it in the front here under this lip. And then punch in all these body rivets. And we are good to go. Job done. It was really easy. You need to be careful with all these lines and hoses. You don't want to damage the hoses. You saw I repaired them with shrink tubing. Either that or I'd have to run a whole line, the whole length, and went way down to the bottom of the engine. Looked like a real pain in the butt. I am going to change the oil. It's like 5 months old, and you know, it's not even, it's only a couple thousand miles and 5 months old. But I'm going to go ahead and put it on the ramps, change the oil. I already did a video on that. So since I have it in the garage, might as well do it, right? Well, thank you for watching my video, and that's putting in a starter. Just getting to it. You need to be real careful you don't break anything. And have a great day.